Well, finally, we are back with another video on the Crash Ferrari 812 Superfast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to vlog. Now, in the last video, we actually got this car to fire up. We had to shut her down immediately because there's no coolant in the system. So step one today, we are going to be rebuilding the cooling system. Get the car up to operating temperature, make sure there's no leaks, make sure the car doesn't overheat. We got to bleed the brakes because we want to stop. And then we're driving this car on the road today. That's right, we are driving this car on the road today for the first time in my life. We are driving my Crash Ferrari 812 Superfast. Now, when I say driving on the road, I'm using a loose version of the term. The car's got no windshield, it's got no airbags, it's got no interior, it's got no body panels, it's got no seat belts. It is registered and is insured, but it is not necessarily street legal. So we're gonna drive it around the neighborhood. I just wanna make sure everything is functioning as designed. Last thing I wanna do is piece everything back together, discover something is wrong, and then have to tear it apart. So yes, for the first time ever, in this video, we are driving my Crash Ferrari 812 Superfast. If you watched the last video, you know exactly what this is and the struggle that I've dealt with for the last week trying to sort this out. So these are coolant lines that run back to the gearbox and they help keep the gearbox cooled. Well, unfortunately, they got damaged in the crash when the Ferrari hit the Kia Sportage. This line right here got pinched. I ordered this one from Ferrari. This one is in perfect shape and it is identical. Now this line right here was also pinched, and so I ordered this brand new line from Ferrari as well. But the problem is when you stack these two lines, you can see that the new one is about 2.5 inches shorter than the damaged one. You guys have no idea the struggle this has been trying to find a replacement for this coolant line here. You might remember, this thing was pinched so bad, coolant could not pass through whatsoever. Shout out to my homies Kelly and Carson. They were actually able to heat up the coolant line, open it up, and we are free flowing yet again. I don't know why my car has this line and every other 812 has this line. I don't know if there was a recall and I never got the recall. Maybe the part was superseded. It doesn't really matter now. Carson and Kelly, thank you. We're back in business. Oh, what? No big deal. Well, that ended up being way easier than I ever imagined. Both these coolant lines are locked in place. And of course we have another coolant line that is all twisted and contorted. Ferrari wanted to charge me like $300 for this line. I found it used online for $52.29. It's not brand new, it is used, but it sure looks brand new. This is a big step in the process. All the coolant lines are in place. We're gonna have the coolant expansion tank. This should kind of sit under this. If you remember from way back in the day, the coolant expansion tank, it took a bit of the brunt from that Kia. You can see a nice little crack right there. There was coolant everywhere at the crash scene. The nice thing is these hoses right here look to be good. The cap also is good, so kind of salvageable, but most of it's trash. One thing I am very grateful for, but I also wish I could have done better, is organization. So you can see all the different pieces of plastic that broke off of this thing. And even on this substructure piece right here, this plastic, we still have this hardware here. We can actually recycle this. Money. Well, and as easy as that, the coolant expansion tank is fully installed. So quick double check, we got these coolant lines fastened and secured. This coolant line is not secured quite yet, at least not to the frame. It is fastened, and then underneath back to the gearbox, coolant lines there, and then to the radiator, coolant line. I just picked up this fancy schmancy coolant straight out of Italy from Ferrari of Salt Lake City. Not cheap. Now it's a 50-50 blend with distilled water. Unfortunately, I don't have distilled water, so we gotta head up to the store, get some distilled water, mix it up, and then get this baby fired up.
Welcome. If you have your extra, if you are finished, scan.
Now this is a little bit random, but it's also very, very cool. The garage just got a very cool modification that actually makes a massive difference. Now, compliments from our homies off at Power Shades. We have brand new power blinds installed here in the garage. What I love about these, from one click of the button, you can lower all the blinds together simultaneously. You can pause them at any point whatsoever. You can also control each blind individually. One of the best parts about these blinds, come the summertime, when it is 100 degrees here in the state of Utah, it is gonna lower the ambient temperature in this garage so much, it's gonna save me a ton on utilities. And also when the blinds are all the way down, there's no backlighting whatsoever. The natural color of the car looks incredible. Of course, before I had the Power Shades, my windows, my cars, they were all exposed to the natural sunlight, and over time, that's not gonna be good for the paint. It's not gonna be good for the dashboard. It's not gonna be good for the other materials. One click of the button, the Power Shades drop on down, and the paint can be maintained in perfect condition. Of course, it's really nice sometimes to have that natural light, and with one click of the button, bada boom, bada bing. Honestly, too easy. Now, not only do I have Power Shades throughout my entire garage, I have Power Shades throughout my entire house. I think you guys are gonna love them. Check out the link in the description description below, and thanks again to Power Shades. Now, before we fill the system with coolant, we want to test for leaks, make sure there are no leaks, because if we fill it with coolant and there is a leak, kind of sort of counterproductive. We have our test kit here. We're going to use this little gasket piece so the size is correct. Boom, boom, boom. This is going to slide in like so. And just to ensure that no air is getting through, we are going to tighten this on up. And now we have to create our 50-50 blend. So we got our distilled water, clean bucket. Pacello. Ooh, that perfect 50-50 blend. Now the coolant system in the 812 takes about 3.5 gallons. We're gonna have about 4 gallons of concentrate, 2 gallons of coolant, and 2 gallons of distilled water. We're gonna put this into the line in the coolant. Air compressor, the next step, we want to connect the compressor. And it's very important that the end of this coolant hose, we keep it submerged in the 50-50 mix. We don't want any air getting in whatsoever, because then obviously it defeats the purpose of vacuum. I use a nice painter's tape, and that is fully submerged. We got this connected. We're gonna open this valve right here. And we want to get to about 22 to 25 psi. It looks like we're maintaining right around 22, so that should be good. And now we're going to sit for about a minute or 2 minutes. Make sure it stays at 22. If it stays at 22, that means we have vacuum. We're good to go. There's no leaks whatsoever. If the pressure drops, that means we have an issue at play. One of the coolant lines is not fully tightened. We're just going to start the timer. Just make sure we go a full 2 minutes. But we're sitting at 22. Things are looking good. Well, it looks like we're sitting very pretty. 2 minutes. We are sitting right at 22 psi. So we can assume we maintain vacuum. We got no leaks whatsoever. So all we got to do now is turn this valve here, and we should see fluid. There we go. I said fluid. I meant coolant. Fluid. So now we are bringing in coolant. Look at this. This is sick. Okay, let's open this up all the way. Bada boom, bada bing. Now, as this gauge drops, once we get down to 0, that's when we know that we are full. Check that out. That's crazy. Okay. All indications are telling me that we have maintained vacuum on this coolant system. We are locked and loaded. The moment you guys have all been waiting for. This is a cold startup on an 812 Superfast. Now, last time we started up the car, we shut it down immediately. This time, we're going to let her idle for a while. We're not going to rev her. We're not going to try to drive her, obviously. She's on a bent pack lift. We're not going to drive her. We're just going to let her idle for a while, get her up to operating temperature, where hopefully she'll maintain. If she starts to overheat, then we have a problem. Depress brake pedal there. I am pushing on the start button. I am pushing down the brake pedal as much as I can. So it's got to be related to the brakes. There's got to be air in the line. It has to be. Now, if you guys saw the last video, you might remember to get it started up, we added a little bit of brake fluid and then the car fired right on. I'm guessing now that that brake fluid is kind of like flowed through the system, there's probably some air bubbles in there. We got to bleed the brakes, and then I'm hoping that she'll fire right up. If not, we got a greater problem at hands, but we're going to have to bleed the brakes anyways to get this baby on the road. So we're going to start back there. And in case you're wondering, for an 812 Superfast, it is Pacello 404. Now we're just going to add enough to get it to the max level. Don't want to add too much. Right there. So I have the brake bleeder kit with this auto refill. We're just going to loosen this off. Hydration is essential. If I did this correctly, I should be able to invert this thing upside down and no fluid is going to come out. That means we did it correct. So this auto refill canister, we're going to invert it. This feels very, very, very sketchy because if for some reason this thing gets disconnected, I have brake fluid over the entire driver's side of my car. We do not want that. So it's mounted on in place, and effectively, my understanding, as the vacuum is created, as air bubbles go up, fluid will drop down. That's why it's an auto refill canister. And as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna start with the caliper, the furthest away from the master cylinder, so the passenger rear. This line is gonna connect into so, and then all we gotta do is loosen that, create a vacuum. Now this valve here, we're gonna slowly open up. You guys can see all the air bubbles leaving the system right now. As soon as there's no more air bubbles, effectively we're good. I have no idea if this is gonna work. I do apologize. It's 11:01 p.m., so it is a little bit late. If we get this baby fired up, we're gonna shut her down immediately. We're not gonna let her idle. We'll do that in the morning, see if operating temperature holds. And we shut her down. I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, passenger headlight is secure. Driver headlight is also secure. Quick ignition. And we have illumination driver side. and illumination, passenger side. As much as I want to fire up the A12 right now, I also want to be able to get it out of park, down paddle, and our up paddle. And 4 bolts later, downshift paddle, upshift paddle. We're really not going to be mounting this center console in whatsoever. I just want to plug all the wiring harnesses in because in the event that we need reverse, we have reverse right there. Well, this is the biggest test that we have to pass. We're going to fire up the car, let her get up to operating temperature, and pray that she does not overheat. It's going to be very, very loud. Cold startup, straight pipe, center dump, straight out the bottom. A12, super fast. Ignition on. Come on, baby. Really? Nothing. I can't get the car to fire up. I don't know, boys. I don't know. Service passive start system, that's an issue right there. This A12 just does not want to fire up consistently. I know there are so many wiring harnesses that are unplugged. I have a feeling on the steering column, there's a ton of wiring harnesses. I think if I plug this in, we might be good to go. You can see that start stop button right there. This is probably the worst footage that I've ever filmed in the history of my channel, but you guys gotta see. Hopefully that sorts it out. Come on, give us ignition. Foot on the brake. Nothing. I just got this piece plugged in right here so I can now control the radio, so copyright infringement, no more, and maybe. These definitely are not the carbon back sport lightweight seats. Well, whatever's going on, it's gotta be electrical related. So I pulled out the multimeter. We're just gonna check all the different systems, see if somehow we got a loose connection, we're losing something. Maybe it's a blown fuse, fuel pump, ignition, starter motor maybe. So the multimeter, we're just gonna start with the battery and just kind of work our way through the system. It's a little bit hard to use the multimeter and film at the same time, but we're gonna test the battery and you'll see we're sitting at 12.57. Now this fuse here, this is for the starter motor, this is power for the starter, and we're gonna put that there, and we have no power loss at all. So the starter motor fuse, we're totally good there. We have a couple more fuses down here. I just pulled that cover off, and let's see if we're having any power loss here. No. And no. Well, the battery is totally good. All the fuses look to be good as well. We have power to the starter motor. Fuses in here. We have all these fuses under the passenger footwell. We have more fuses here. And then across the driver's side, we got more fuses right there. This is not going to be the prettiest shot known to man, but regardless, we still got to do it. This 30 amp fuse, this is for the starter motor, and as you can see, we're good. And yes, not that it needs to be said, but we have half a tank of fuel, so we're not out of gas. I now want to test the starter motor and make sure that we are getting power supply there. It's going to be a little bit complicated because the starter motor sits right under the engine, kind of here. Please do not make fun of my setup. The recycling bin is being used to set up the multimeter. I have extended my positive lead, and now with the negative, we got the starter motor right here. We're going to connect right there. 12, we're fine. 12.56, we're golden. As much as I would like to find the culprit, I am very grateful it's not the starter motor, because to pull a starter motor, we'd probably have to drop the motor. So starter is good. Ignition, fuel pump maybe? When I push the ignition, listen closely, you can hear the fuel pumps priming, so that would lead me to believe the fuel pumps are not the issue. Now this fuel inertia switch, we're gonna pop this thing off, pop this round cover off. You can see the switch right here. So if we push this in, that should disengage the fuel pumps, right? I still hear them. I still hear the fuel pumps though. So what am I doing wrong here? I don't know. I still hear the fuel pumps. Well, it is many days later, and the A12, I'm excited to announce, finally fires up. But it's not because of me. Shout out to my homies, Mark and Ricky at 218 Auto. They came over the other day. They diagnosed the car, and they discovered one issue. One ground wire that was slightly loose. When I say slightly loose, 2 90-degree turns, and the car fired up right immediately. One ground wire. That's it. And of course, it was the ground wire right by the driver headlight. Somehow, when I was installing the headlight, I somehow must have loosened it. I didn't realize. I thought I went over every single ground wire on this car, but this one right here, 2 turns, that thing is tightened, And the car, she fires right on up. So officially, with nearly 100% certainty, a cold startup on the 812 Superfast. Well, finally the cold start is starting to settle right there, but the idle sounds really, really healthy, really, really good. We just gotta let her get up to operating temperature and make sure it's all good to go. Now, quick check underneath the car. Everything is looking mighty fine. Right here, you can see our temperature gauges right there. We're just gonna let it go up a little bit. But we're gonna raise the base stop, get a look at the underside and make sure she's all looking good. Underneath the car, everything is looking pretty good right there. As you can see, center dump exhaust. That's why the car is so incredibly loud. I'm keeping a watchful eye on the coolant reservoir here. Looking good. Well, we're sitting right now at 177 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see 177. I'm actually gonna shut her down. I'm gonna say that was great success. The car sounded incredible. Now it's got a bit of an exhaust rattle. There's some exhaust clamps that are not fully installed, but don't worry, we're gonna get the exhaust installed here soon. I'm gonna mount up the wheels. I'm gonna connect the drive shaft. I wanna pull the car outside. I'm starting to feel like a little bit nauseous from all the exhaust fumes, and I feel like they're gonna linger in the garage and then enter the house, so we're gonna pull the car outside. Thus far, you're gonna drive the car while on the bed pack. So we got clearance to pump it into neutral.
Where's my seat?
You don't have a seat. You sit on the floor. That's that, baby. I want to see if she'll go into neutral. So just pull both paddles and go to neutral. No neutral? No neutral. We got no neutral. That's not a good sign. Can you put it into first? No? ABH system failure. I think that might be the problem, the ABH system. Obviously we have no driver's seat, we got no passenger seat, no driver's seat. That could be an issue as well for the electrical faults. Suspension control system failure, alternator failure. That's weird, alternator failure. Why is the alternator failing? Now the alternator failing is a new one. I haven't seen that quite yet, but if the alternator is failing, when I ran the car earlier for like 10 minutes, that would make sense that the car would have low voltage. I just put the car on the battery tender and it's only at half charge, so the battery is definitely low. That would explain low voltage. Maybe the car wouldn't go into gear if the alternator isn't working, but why would the alternator not be working? Another concern that I'm having, there's no driver's seat, which means the driver's not in the car, the seatbelt is not latched, and the door is not closed. I can imagine a car this smart might sense that the seat isn't locked in place, the seatbelt isn't in place, and the door ain't closed. That might cause the car not to go into gear. I mean, just the door not being closed, I would imagine if a door wasn't closed on an 812 Superfast, it probably wouldn't go into gear. Now, driver's seat is in place. We gotta figure out our foot situation around all these random harnesses. That sounds very nice. That is not bad at all. Sounds good, but driver's seat, that ain't it. Now I have a theory on why the transmission will not engage gears, and it involves the Huracan Sterrato. We're gonna use the Huracan as the test subject. So there's no hood on the car, there's no door on the car, but as far as the car is concerned, the hood is all the way up and the door is all the way out. I think that's why it won't engage gears. This would be a much better test if I had a newer Ferrari, but I don't. The Huracan Sterrato, it's the newest car that I have. So for this little test exercise, I'm going to pop the hood on this car, and we're gonna leave the door open. And we're going to start up the car. So the car is in park. I'm going to upshift. Auto, oh, really? Well, I guess. I thought that was gonna be it. Now, obviously every single brand is not the same, so just because on a Lamborghini it does that, doesn't mean it does on a Ferrari, but it's a 2024. For prosperity's sake, I'm still gonna try with the hood mechanism. I'm gonna trick the car into thinking the hood is closed and see if it makes a difference. I don't really know what else to do. As if the hood was in the down position, we're just gonna push down. So as far as the Ferrari is concerned, the hood is attached. I feel like the majority of today's video is basically this right here, trying a bunch of million different things just to get something to work. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Look at that! We got first gear! It worked! Let's go, baby! Let's go! Check that out! The fake hood in all of its glory. Let's see if she goes forward. Now I'm gonna push down on the throttle, and this wheel should rotate forward. Oh! Let's go, baby! We are going forward right there. We got miles per hour. It won't let me go any higher. I'm assuming that the car knows that it's not on the ground. It can't sense that. We got garage braking on, so I'm assuming that is the mechanism, knowing that the car is lifted up off the ground. Now I'm gonna try to put her in neutral, hold both pedals, and we are in neutral. And now foot on the brake. We got reverse 2 backup camera even. Oh, this is sick. That's so sick. It sounds so good. I can't believe all it took was tricking the car into thinking it had a hood, and we are fully engaged. Let's drop her back to the ground. It has been such a long time since this car was not on the bend pack lift. I feel like every single time I get this car started, the sun is down and the neighbors are in bed. We're driving, baby! We're going! I cannot believe this is actually happening right now. Of course the sun is down. That seems to be how it always goes. Let's pop it into first. I gotta figure out where the parking brake is. Oh my goodness. This is ridiculous, boys! What? That is surreal. We're gonna drive it more in the morning, but I had to pull it out. I just realized it doesn't make sense to drive the car right now. The sun has just set. If something does go wrong, it complicates things because it's the middle of the night. So I will see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. Well, she sounds nice and healthy right now. We're gonna take her for a little circle around the house and just make sure all is good to go. Pop it into first gear, and let's just hope and pray the brakes work. We got no seat belts, we got no doors. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. We're going 6 miles an hour. It's kind of breezy without the windshield too. Kind of nice. Kind of sort of nice. Temperature gauges were looking pretty good right now. We got a little bit of a climb. Churn and burn, baby, churn and burn. I still got that alternator failure sign, so I'm a little concerned if I drive the car out of the neighborhood, it's gonna die on me. The brakes are feeling a little squishy.
Are they really?
Confidence level with the brakes. There might be an air bubble in there. We're gonna drive slow though regardless, but we might need to bleed them again. Yeah. I think probably. But man, this thing sounds properly good. That's 10 miles an hour. That is double digits. We're kind of sort of crab walking right now. I think over there on the passenger side, something with the suspension, or maybe a control arm of some kind. Obviously, we're not driving very fast right now, but it sounds healthy too. Can we get into second? Oh, we got second! We got second! A little downshift right here. The car definitely needs an alignment. We're going straight, and the steering wheel turns almost 90 degrees. I'm actually shocked we can get into second gear. Also very breezy right now. Hopefully we don't lose anything. I think after the drive, we're gonna have to do a loop in the TRX and just make sure there's no parts like left over anywhere. But so far so good. Temperatures are looking properly good though. We are going this way.
Crooked.
It's yeah, so crooked. I'm gonna take my hands off the steering wheel, and you can see we're going straight to that tree right there. So I just realized I'm getting a lot more warning lights right now alternator failure might actually be a real failure right now, because every single light, I just got Manatino failure as well, so I can't change the driving modes either, whereas earlier I could. So we're gonna get this old girl back home. But man, that fresh breeze early in the morning feels properly good. Just kicking here through the neighborhood in an 812 Superfast. There are rocks kicking up everywhere on the engine bay because the tires are fully exposed. All right, that is great success right there. That is a proper first drive. So, you want to drive? Sure. All right, let's pop it right here real quick. First time driving the 812 Superfast. Oh, yeah. It's just like the white one, right? Basically exactly the same. Yeah, same concept. Honestly, this car looks so sick with the exposed engine bay. A little bit of Mad Max Ferrari 812 right here. So getting the proper angle right there. Don't want to scrape anything of any kind. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah. That's how we do it, boys. My, oh my, this is a long journey in the making. What an adventure this has been. Definitely one of the most fun projects I have had. It's just so rewarding. Keep going. Yes, ma'am. Well, that is one of the sickest things we've ever accomplished in the history of the channel. The 812 Superfast is back from the dead. Now, it has about 1 million different check engine lights. We got an issue right here. Brakes are feeling a little squishy. We got to bleed those again. But overall, we got second gear, which was a massive shock. Top speed, 12 miles an hour. That's what I saw.
That's what I saw too.
That's not bad. That's a dozen miles per hour. You can see all the different rocks off the tires, and because they're exposed, rocks have even gotten already in and on the driver's seat right there. So, yeah, such is life when you're driving a car with no body panels. Now, I have a couple more announcements. The grand opening for Strad Pizza in Scottsdale, Arizona is April 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to have hypercars. We're going to have supercars. It's going to be a massive pizza party. We're going to have JDMs. We're going to have trucks. We're going to have every single car imaginable. The Gladiator is going to be there. Murcielago is going to be there. Storado is going to be there. The Aventador is going to be there. The Koenigsegg is going to be there. And so much more. April 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. Also, before today's video ends, I want you guys to go on Vero, and I want you guys to go vote for my Temerario spec. The Blue Glauco and the Oro Ilios are so close voting-wise that I want you guys to go on there, and I want you guys to go vote, go leave a like, go leave a comment on that bombshell. The 812 is back from the dead, and today's video is over.